Toxic stress is global. It knows no borders, and its detrimental effects are universal. It attacks the human condition in all of the important spheres, the body, the mind, the spirit. Therefore, we must address it from a public health perspective. We have to engage in early detection, we have to be involved in prevention and provide brief intervention in order to provide the predictable cascade of holding on to a stress built inside post a toxic stress, a traumatic experience, or just accumulation of a lot of worries that inevitably would lead to either a demonstration of symptoms that will get the mental health system involved, or alternatively, behavioral problems, acting out behaviors that will get the criminal justice system involved. Either one derails the healthy trajectory of a growing child. We have, therefore, to preserve the natural resilience, and we do so by bearing witness to the student's lived experience. Bearing witness requires emotional and physical presence of a caring adult who is willing to listen, who is willing to be there present with the burden shared of the student. And by doing so, really lifting the burden that has been carried alone, not to resolve the problem, not to get involved, just to be present and listen. The Miss Kendra program is doing it by really underscoring the Miss Kendra list, which is a child safety list. Think of it as a child rights blueprint. We use those list items in order to prompt conversation in a weekly basis in various schools around the country, in order to give a setting for the students to share with a caring, listening adult of their distress, in order to also prevent the negative consequences, if not addressing it. Miss Kendra's list. No child should be harmed because of their race, religion, or gender. No child should be punched or kicked. No child should be left alone for a long time. No child should be hungry for a long time. No child should be bullied or told they are no good. No child should be touched in their private parts. No child should have to see other people hurt each other. No child should be scared by gun violence at home or at school. Because it makes a child feel bad about themselves. It makes a child not care about school. It makes a child feel sad, scared, or lonely. It makes a child angry and want to fight too much. It makes a child feel not trying hard or giving up. It makes a child worry a lot about their family. This is what Miss Kendra says. What do you say? But who is Miss Kendra? Through this open conversation with a caring adult who is willing to listen, that encounter functions as a barrier, as a buffer of the toxic stress. It provides the child a template where empathy looks like. In our program, the Miss Kendra program, we do that through imaginal buffer.
As you can see in this picture of Miss Kendra, drawn by a first grader, you can see the child protected by that rainbow above their head. And from the beginning of time, from the cave drawings of saber-toothed tigers in Lascaux to Rockabye Baby, the arts, story, and creative expression have been a very important way for people and families to process toxic stress, trauma, and threats to children. Whether it's Bambi's mother who dies, Rumpelstiltskin trying to steal the infant, Snow White trying to avoid the evil queen, Red Riding Hood, who's eaten by the big bad wolf at the end of the story, Hansel and Gretel, who are put in an oven and baked into cookies. Stories we tell our children at night to put them to sleep. Fairy tales, stories, the arts have been a way to create a safe container for the processing of very difficult experiences. And in the Miss Kendra program, we've provided that through the Legend of Miss Kendra, which is a story about a single mother who has one child that she loves so very, very much. And unfortunately, the child dies at the age of 10. We don't know why. Some people say that he died by being kidnapped, others that she was hurt, others that he died from an illness. We don't know exactly. But Miss Kendra grieved deeply and for many months and was only solaced by her pet dog. One day she was walking to work and she passed her local school and saw the children getting off the bus in the morning, and she wondered, are they safe? And so she volunteered at the school to greet the kids every morning, always with a smile, sometimes with cookies, but always with questions. How are you doing? Is everything okay? And over time, the questions got deeper. Is everything at home okay? Is anyone at home ill? Have you been left alone? Etc. And all these questions that Miss Kendra asked became Miss Kendra's list, which is a poster that is put up in every classroom and every community center that we're in, kindergarten on up. Miss Kendra represents the inner nurturing parent that is in every mammal. We're not reptiles. When you wake up after birth, a reptile's on their own. Mammals, they know that we need to be taken care of. All the neuroscience research shows that even having one caring adult in a child's life provides a buffer against the slings and arrows of life's adversities. And hopefully that child finds that entity in their own parents, in their own communities. But sometimes those parents who are loving their children are working 2 jobs. Sometimes they're drinking too much. Sometimes they're stressed by finances. Sometimes they just don't know any better. And so the child is walking around experiencing difficulties without a solid sense that there is someone looking out for them. And Miss Kendra, who is not in the real world, doesn't go on vacation, has no paperwork to do, is always there for them. And so, of course, the kids, when they hear this story, they go, well, that's wonderful. We want to meet Miss Kendra. Where is she? We want her to come to the class. And so we say, well, we're not exactly sure where she lives, but we do know that she loves to receive letters from children about their worries, about the worries on this list on the wall. Would you like to write her a letter? And 110% of children want to write a letter to Miss Kendra, and because they know they're going to get a letter back from her. Letters like these. Dear Miss Kendra, Mommy and Daddy and TT saved me when somebody broke in. 5-year-old girl. Or this letter, Dear Miss Kendra, my family is always fighting. It scares me. Sometimes I feel sad about it. I wish it would stop. Could you help me? 7 years old. Or this letter from a 9-year-old. Dear Miss Kendra, I am sorry for your loss, and we both have something in common. One thing is we both have a loss. My loss was my father. I don't really think about his death, but when I see other kids with their dad and mom, it makes me feel sad, and his birthday was Sunday the 16th. I'll never forget him because he will always be in my heart. Well, I am finishing my letter. I hope you write back. To date, we have been in many states, we're in many schools. This year alone, 250,000 letters are going to be written to Miss Kendra this school year, and 250,000 letters are going to be written back to children about their worries. We have found that the teacher-student relationship improves because the teachers are exposed to some of the realities that are going on in their children. And it helps them ground them in why they came into teaching in the first place. It empowers the student voice. We need citizens to be able to speak up when they feel uncomfortable. Those of us who saw recently the gymnasts who have been abused, none of them spoke up. The altar boys who have been abused by priests, none of them spoke up. We need to be able to people to know that when I feel uncomfortable, I have to say something. If you see something, say something. And finally, because disruptive behaviors are misdirected attempts at communicating what my lived experience is. I am hit by my older brother. No one asks me what's happening, ever. So I come to school and I hit somebody smaller than me. I'm grabbed to the principal's office, and of course I say I know that I shouldn't hit, and I promise not to do it again, and I apologize. And the next day I hit another smaller kid. Why? Because last night I was hit again by my older brother. And I'm trying to communicate that to you, but you don't understand. So the data that we have, which is very robust, includes very significant calming down of individuals, classrooms, and whole schools, both in terms of the office referrals for major events, suspensions in school and out of school, and then the last graph of the aggregate of over about 20 schools. Literally 80 to 90% drop in disruptive behaviors within schools. Though we are also in other things, and we're developing programs for other kinds of environments, such as refugee camps, community shelters, religious institutions, because some of the principles are basically, as so many people here have said, it's important to listen to people. Oops.
Miss Kendra's lost her only child.
Yeah. I don't know what happened there. And so if you think about Miss Kendra's list, very few people have any problem with Miss Kendra's list. It is like the basis of our moral society. It's the basis of child protection. It's what you hear about in church. And you know what's so interesting is that people say, yes, that's wonderful, but when we say we're going to have kindergartners talking about these items, people get very nervous. They get very anxious about it. It's ironic, isn't it, that we have a basis of a moral society that we don't want our children to talk about? And the reason for that is that we have no problem telling children what is right, but we have a big problem listening to them about what is wrong. And so we here in the Miss Kendra program stand behind the list. Sometimes that's difficult. There are all sorts of criticisms about this kind of boldness, but it's something that we need to be able to do. And so we ask you as well, are we serious about child safety? Can we use the arts as a way of creating a safe environment for discussing and openly dealing with it? That's what we're about. Thank you very much.